Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Ari. Hopefully you'll stick around. A pretty important video today about coming out. Okay guys, so in one of my previous videos I talked about how my transition plans for 2018, and admittedly some of those have been thrown a little bit for a loop, in large part because tomorrow is a very important day. That's when I find out what's going on with my career. For those of you who have followed and sent the well wishes on that, thank you very much. But you know, I don't know what's going to happen on all of those plans. However, I was able to check off a pretty big one, and that one was coming out to my mom. So that's been a huge deal this week. So let me tell you a little bit about how that came about and how it went. Okay, so I've been wanting to go ahead and come out to my mom for a while now, but I couldn't quite work up the nerve, and I found that when everything was going really well or decent in my life, I just couldn't bring myself to do it because the thought was, you know, if things are going halfway decent, why screw it up? But with this week and everything going on, and I felt like I was in a really, really low spot. So, you know, my thought process is I'm in the middle of a crap storm. So this can either be more on top of that, or it can be a silver lining in the middle of it. So on Monday, I decided it was time to start thinking about how I was going to do this. And I had written a letter some time ago, but I didn't have anywhere to send it because I didn't want to do postal, because I wanted to know when it got there. With a postal letter, you never know when it's arrived, and I kind of wanted to know. So I text my mother on Monday morning and asked her if she had an email account that she had access to, because I don't even know if people really use email anymore. I have no clue. So my mother sent back her email address in a text, and I told her I would be sending her an email. So around noon, I had this whole email saved in my phone for a while now, so I just had to copy and paste. So around noon, I copied and pasted over. And this was a detailed letter. On paper, it was 9 sheets of paper, front and back. So it was very detailed because I wanted her to know everything that had been going on, because I felt like I'd left out so much. You know, my mother knew about the laser hair removal appointments. She knew about my doctor's appointments. She knew I was going to therapy. But I hadn't taken the time to tell her what was really behind that, what was going on. So I wanted to go through all of that, and I also wanted to point way back to when I was younger and the things that, you know, were those moments that stick in my mind with the gender dysphoria that I'd never shared, so she could better understand the journey that I had been on. So I sent this around noon. I was at work. And then I heard nothing for a while, and my nerves were shot. You know, I get off at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock had just rolled around, and I had nothing. And then 5:01 hit. So like I said, I was still at work. At 5:01, my phone started to ring, and I looked down I pulled my phone out of my purse, and it was my mom. So I didn't answer. I had all of these people around, and you know, I didn't know what the conversation would be, and that wasn't something I needed to start there at work where there was nowhere for me to get away, and it wasn't something I wanted to do while driving. So I hit the ignore button. I sent her a quick text and said, I'm still at work. Can I call you when I get home? And of course she was fine with that. So immediately when I got in the car, I called my best friend and started doing my freak out. My words to my best friend when she picked up was, talk me off the ledge. So we talked on the way home, and then when I got home, I still have a landline, so I had my cell phone with me, and I was going to call my mom on my home phone. So I hung up with my best friend. I got the home phone and I called my mom. And for at least a good hour, we talked, and there was zero mention of the email that I had sent. It was just a normal conversation like we always have, about the family, about what's going on, at home, what's going on with my work. It was just a normal, everyday conversation. And frankly, I was starting to get a little bit nervous, and I was starting to question, did she actually get the email? Did I send it wrong? Did I mess up one of the letters or numbers in the email address? What happened? So in the middle of all this conversation, my best friend is texting me on the phone, asking how things are going, worried about how I'm doing, and somehow, well, I got on to type up on the text, she hasn't even mentioned the video yet, and I hit send. Somehow I sent it to my mother, which was awkward. So I told her, I was like, ignore the text, I didn't mean to send that to you. And we continued talking like always for a while. Then when my mom got home, because she was out and about on her cell phone, and I could tell she was coming in the house, she said, by the way, I got your email. And my heart sank. It was like, here we go. This is what I've been waiting my entire life for. What's about to happen. I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect the next phrase that came out of her mouth, which was, I fully accept you, and I've known for a while. It was, and then she immediately went back to the conversation that we were having about the family. It was the most amazingly wonderful, anticlimactic conversation that I could have hoped for. It wasn't even the best case scenario that I had planned out. It wasn't the worst case scenario I had planned out. It was a completely different thing because it was like, and it was just so simple. We mentioned again at the very end of the conversation when we were getting off the phone, my mom's thing was just, I want you to, now you need to keep me informed on what's going on. No more secrets. And I said, yeah, no more secrets. So it was very interesting. I'm still kind of reeling from it. And, after so many years of waiting for that to finally be out, you kind of don't know how to take it once that burden is finally lifted off your shoulder. So yeah, like I had said, it ended up that it could either be a bad week, could either get worse, or it could be a silver lining. And it was definitely a silver lining. All the plans I had for the future, things that, may involve surgical options, I never could imagine those without my mom, but I also never could imagine them with my mom because I never saw myself as having the courage to have that conversation, to let her know what was going on. And then it happened. It was such a surreal moment. I had to tell my best friend because as soon as I got off the phone, I called my best friend to let her know what had happened. And I told her, I said, you're going to have to convince me tomorrow that this really happened. It was amazing. I immediately went on my social media account. I didn't mention this on social media because there is still family that I haven't had the conversation. But I did change the gender on the social media account. It was just such an amazing relief to finally get that off my shoulders. And it felt like, I had been presenting, my mother and I are super close. We talk all the time. But it felt like I'd been presenting sort of the redacted version of my life with really large chunks of it blacked out. And that finally, I didn't have to do that. I could be honest about what was going on fully in my life, not just the partial. So it was an amazing experience. I have an amazing mom. I have been absolutely blessed in that. So guys, kind of in closing, you know, coming out is a very important step in your life. I don't tell people, you know, this is when you should come out or you've got to come out. Everybody has to determine when the right time is for them. My best friend has been encouraging me to do this since pretty much the time that she and I became friends, you know, at least a good 4 years. But the time just wasn't right yet. I needed to do it on my time, and when I did, it worked out wonderfully. I didn't know what to expect. You never do. Coming out is always a certain amount of a risk. You know, that's just part of what it is. But sometimes I don't think we give our families enough credit. We don't give them enough credit for what they know, and we don't give them enough credit for the level of love they're going to have for us. A lot of people deal with really bad situations, and I acknowledge that. But at the same time, give your families a chance. Everybody in my family is not going to be like my mother. There are some who won't, except, I know, distant family. I'm not talking about the immediate. But you have to hold on to those who accept you fully as who you are, who love you regardless, and hold that really close, because you do have family. And even if you don't have that family, those friends can become your family, because it's not about where you're born into. Family is what you make of it. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. I will be doing another one here in a few minutes that has to do with HRT updates, so hopefully you'll watch that as well. Or at least I hope to do it today. If not, I'll get it out tomorrow if I'm not in tears after the job situation. But anyway, thank you for joining. Don't forget to click subscribe. In the words of Kesha, don't let the bastards get you down. You know, hold your head up high, be proud of who you are, and march on. Whatever is going on in your life, you can come through it. There are some amazing things up ahead. I love you guys. Hopefully I'll see you at the next video. And yeah, bye-bye.